Now, we have James Cleverly. Good morning, James.
Trevor, hi.
If you happen to be leader of the Conservative Party this morning, what would you be saying to our Israeli allies?
Well, I mean, I would say to them what I've said to them already when I was Foreign Secretary, when I met with President Herzog, when I met with Prime Minister Netanyahu, Defence Minister Gallant. I've said that you do have a right to defend yourself, absolutely. They are surrounded by people who would do them harm. But when they do so, they have to abide by international law. They have to be conscious of civilian casualties. They have to act with professionalism and restraint. So I will be consistent. I'm always consistent. What I said to them before is what I would say to them in the future.
Indeed. You said to me, actually, a couple of times in the last year that you want restraint and that there would be red lines for you. Have the Israelis crossed any red lines this week, do you think?
Well, what we've got to remember is that they've had hundreds of rockets fired into civilian parts of Israel from southern Lebanon. And look, I am no longer, because we're in opposition, I am no longer able to access the detailed reporting that I did when I was Foreign Secretary, when I was Home Secretary. So it is.
But you
always...
don't need that to know whether the pager attacks and the strikes and so on might have crossed the red line.
No, Trevor, you do need to know. You do need to know. And it's easy to have a view. Everyone has a view. But when you're in a position of leadership, the kind of positions that I have held and I aspire to hold in the future, you have to make your comments based on fact, not just on TV reporting, not just on social media, not just on gut instinct. Any idiot can do that. When you're in a position of genuine leadership, you have to base your comments and your decisions on the actual fact. I no longer have access to that detailed reporting, and I'm not going to speculate or guess about what exactly is going on.
When you say an idiot can do that, some of well, let's not say call anybody an idiot, but some of your colleagues and rivals have been pretty clear. They think that it's OK.
Well,
and they haven't had access to any secret information.
Well, as I said, I am used to having briefings from the head of our intelligence services, from the head of GCHQ in Cheltenham. I've got into the habit of basing my decisions on that detailed level of reporting. Right. I no longer have access to that, so I am going to, as I say, be a bit more restrained.
All right, now let's look back at the campaign that you fought in June and July. Same question that I'm asking all your colleagues. Did the Conservatives actually deserve to lose, given the campaign?
Yeah, look, when the voters tell you something, you should listen. The British voters told us, not that they wanted a Labour government, in fact, in many instances, they told us they didn't want a Labour government. But what they did tell us is they wanted us out of office. And we have got to listen to that. We've got to respond to that. There's no point getting angry with the voters, and we certainly shouldn't imply or say that they were wrong. Voters are never wrong. Sometimes politics is brutal, but it's beautiful. We got kicked out of office for a reason, and what we now should do is get our act together quickly, listen to what they told us properly, and then campaign once again on our core values to get back into office.
One of the things that you said, and in fact you said this to me a couple of weeks ago, the public stopped listening to you. You served under 5 Conservative Prime Ministers, May, Johnson, Truss, 4, May, Johnson, Truss, Sunak. Which one of them do you blame most?
Oh, look, there's no... Look, what I'm not going to do... It's
there's not a personality question.
Well, ultimately it is.
But it tells us something about what you think the public didn't like. If we know which of these leaders you think was caused the public most trouble.
I'll tell you what the public told me they didn't like. They didn't like the constant infighting. They didn't like the bickering. They didn't like the fact that as soon as someone became Prime Minister, there were people within the party who set about removing them as Prime Minister. We didn't do that just once or twice. We did it over and over again. The British people told us that they wanted us to think about them, not to think about ourselves, to help deliver on their aspirations, rather than on our self-interest. So I don't have to second-guess what the voters want, because they told us over and over again, unambiguously. And we either listen and deal with it, or we're destined to spend more time in opposition.
Well, see, this is very interesting. You're telling me that what the voters didn't like was the squabbling and the infighting.
That's what they told me.
Well, did none of them say that actually they didn't like that, But what they disliked even more was that you spent 700 million of their hard-earned on a scheme sending people to Rwanda where nobody went. That they didn't like the Partygate thing in number 10, and they didn't like the fact that Liz Truss destroyed your competence. It wasn't just the squabbling, it was what you actually did they didn't like.
So the thing about the squabbling is it amplified the problems. And when you're in government, you don't get everything right, and there are always bad headlines. But the infighting, the squabbling, amplified the things that you've just mentioned and completely obscured things like furlough, like the fact that we'd kept unemployment low, like the fact that we were pretty much the first country in the world to give full-throated support to Ukraine in a practical way with anti-tank missile systems and main battle tanks. So the point is, our infighting amplified the reasons why people were angry with us. And that is why, if you want to get back into government, which I do, you have to address that first so that you can regain the trust of the voters. And they will listen to you when you set out policies. No one was listening, and it was our fault.
Let me ask you about something something about you, and this is about your track record. Not all of your colleagues were impressed by your time at Foreign Secretary. A previous leader of your party, Ian Duncan Smith, said that you turned out to be, and I'm quoting here, a wet rag kissing China's backside.
Well,
That's not nice, is it?
No, look, Ian has understandably a very strong feeling towards China. He's been sanctioned by the China state. And when I went to Beijing and confronted the Chinese foreign minister, I said that the sanctions on him and others of my other colleagues should be lifted. Now, the point is, if you want to exert influence as a diplomat, you actually have to go to those countries. And it's not a favour.
But what you're saying is you're a bit of a wimp.
Well, he's wrong. I mean, the point is, you have to confront the people around the world that you disagree with. And in fact, it's most important that you do that directly, which is why I had direct contacts with the representatives of the Iranian state and representatives of the Russian state and representatives of the Belarusian state and representatives of the Chinese state. That is what foreign ministers do, and misunderstanding that role, I think, is what Ian's done there.
All right. Let me ask you about something in a way more personal, and it's a puzzle to me. You are by far and away the most senior of the four candidates. You've been Foreign Secretary, you've been Home Secretary. Polls say that you're actually the most popular with the public, even small margin, but still you're the most popular. Yet you got the joint fewest votes from your parliamentary colleagues. What is it that they know about you that the public doesn't?
Well, I think it's the other way around. What I have spent a lot of time doing over the last few years as one of the most regular communicators on behalf of the party is having to defend some difficult stuff. I haven't spent that time talking
stuff you didn't agree with.
No, I haven't.
Like Rwanda, which you described, you may not have used the word bat, S-H-I-T, but you were not keen on it.
So I have been the face and voice of, as you say, 4 different prime ministers, and I have been a team player, which has meant I have had to promote other people's ideas. I was happy to do so. It's what you do as part of a team. You know, some of my colleagues.
So you said things you didn't really believe?
No, you keep saying that. I've never said that, Trevor. You keep saying that, and I disagree with you. The point I'm saying is, I have not spent that time promoting my own ideas. This leadership campaign is about doing that. And the point is, you say I'm most popular with the general population. That really matters if you're trying to win an election.
Okay.
Polling also says I'm most likely to win voters back from other political parties. That really matters at the general election.
Just very, very briefly, it couldn't possibly be that they think that your propensity sometimes to tell off-colour jokes, Stockton-on-Tees, date rape and all that, could be a liability.
Well, the British people, who have had a chance to see me with all my faults and flaws, I am still the most popular candidate for them. And the point is, if we want to get back into government, we need to appeal to the British people, not just to each other.
James Cleverly, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.